Hello and welcome back to JP Gaming, and today we are playing some Kerbal Space Program again, and we are going to be starting off a new series and a new save, a new career save, and it is going to be a super hard mode, extreme super duper hard mode thingy. Basically, I'm going to be playing the game in as hard of a mode as I can. So we're gonna go into the settings here, into custom, and I'm gonna take the science gain down to 10%. And I have never tried this before. I've done 20%, but I've never done 10%. And I'm also putting on experience for our Kerbals, so they're not all topped off with 5 stars when we start. Everybody starts off at 0. And let's just go straight into it. So we're gonna start off, of course, with our first little vessel, just a small solid rocket booster and our capsule and some mystery goo units. And of course, the goal here is gonna be to just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze out all the science that we possibly can get out of every little nook and cranny that we can find in this game that has some science to give. Because of course, getting only 10% of science means a lot of these experiments that I'm making now in the beginning, I'm not even getting 1 science from a lot of them. I'm getting point something from a lot of them. I think, if I remember correctly, when I did the mystery goo, maybe, yeah, I don't think we can see that. I'm of course speeding up the footage here so we don't have to sit through all of this, because it is gonna take some time just getting anywhere. But I think from the launch pad, when I did the mystery goo, we only got something like 0.9 something science, so we get very little science for each thing that we do. So of course I am gonna have to squeeze out all that I can. So I'm in this craft that I just did, I went over to the grasslands. So we've done the shores, we have done the grasslands, and we have done both of the launch pads that we have here. I have also enabled the other launch pads, the one at the desert launch pad and the Woomingberg launch pad, I think that's what it's called. So we are gonna go there as well, and as you can see right here, we're just going out over the water, getting that precious data from science while we're flying over the water and while we are landed in the water here, of course, as well. And for those who don't know, I am also doing some experience twice, especially the mystery goo, science junior, and surface samples. You can do those twice and get a little bit extra science from all of those. So I am gonna be doing a lot of experiments more than once. But I think this is gonna be a really fun series, because I mean, Kerbal Space Program, after a while I have a good amount of hours, something like 2,400 hours, something like that. And after a while, it does become a little bit boring when you can't really progress. Of course, you can still build a lot of fun things, but it's hard to progress in a fun way because it's not as challenging as it was before. But I think this is really, really, really challenging, and it is going to be harder than it is right now, because of course we still have a couple of biomes that we can very easily go to. Like for instance here we're going to, is it the highlands or mountains? I can't remember, and I can't actually see on my small little screen that I'm looking at right now. But we got some science there, and I think, yes, now we could of course get the pressure measuring thing. What is it called? The thermometer? I think that. I'm sorry if I'm gonna be saying some stuff wrong and naming some things wrong, because it has been a while since I played this game. I've been playing a lot of other things lately. But I'm happy to be back with KSP because, I mean, it is my like all-time favorite game. I still do love it. And for the first time now, we are going outside of the atmosphere to try and get some science from there. And of course, we're picking up the science from flying high. You can pick that up from all of our experiments. I believe, yes, I did also take an EVA report. So I stopped the engine there for a second, hopped out, took the EVA report and jumped back in. Now we are in space low above Kerbin. I don't think, no, we're not going to high above Kerbin. So we just went to low above Kerbin, in space low above Kerbin, and got that. And now, of course, we're landing in the water, and I believe I'm gonna try and squeeze out a little bit more science here. Yeah, we did a mystery goo again and another surface sample, and got a little bit extra science. But I really did realize during the recording of this first episode that I really am gonna have to squeeze a lot when it comes to like squeezing out the science, like I said before, out of every nook and cranny that I can in this game, because we kind of got stuck even in the first episode where I kind of felt like, where can I go now? Because of course you usually unlock a whole lot of more stuff before you get this far. And I did have an idea that the Kerbals were not allowed to leave low Kerbin orbits. So I was not going to have my Kerbals go outside low Kerbin orbit at all. But I quickly realized that that is not going to be possible, for me at least, to play this and get anywhere if I have that. And I'm trying to get to the highlands right now. If yeah, I forgot to say that. But this little contraption we have here, I'm trying to go to the highlands that are a bit north of the KSC. There is also one a bit west to the KSC, next to the mountains. We could have gone there, but I don't know why I went here. Oh yeah, I built this rocket from the beginning to try and go to the North Pole, but I quickly realized that this is not gonna have the range to go there. So I thought, okay, well, we can go to the highlands at least. I'm gonna get a bit of science from that anyways, even though I think the Woominberg launch site is in the highlands. Or is it just in the mountains? I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyways, we got a bunch of science from that, and I think after this is where I kind of got a little bit stuck. Yeah, I got a little bit stuck and was wondering like, okay, where am I gonna go now? Because of course I still had it in my mind that we were not gonna go above low Kerbin orbits with any Kerbals, and I don't even have any what are they called? Any control units, any probes that I can put on a craft to get anywhere. I just don't have any probes yet because we haven't unlocked them. So I decided here that, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna have to get my Kerbals quite a lot higher, and I have now limited it for now to only have my Kerbals go around in the Kerbin system itself, the Kerbin system, not the Kerbal system. So they can only go to the Mun and to Minmus, but no further than that. So we got some science from space high above Kerbin. But once again after this, I kind of felt a little bit stuck, because something I usually do is I build something with wheels that I can drive around the KSC, because you can actually do surface experiments by each of the buildings, because each of the buildings function as their own biome basically. But I realized here that, okay, I don't have enough science to get any wheels. I'm not gonna have that anytime soon, so I'm gonna have to kind of figure something else out. And I think I've seen someone else do this. I can't remember who it was though, but I remember that I've seen some design where someone has put two of these together like that, so they basically function as wheels. So those two pods just slam together with some science experiments on them, and yeah, they function as wheels. And then I can put my scientist in there, so we can get so we can restore basically the science experiments. And yeah, figuring out how to drive this thing around and roll it to different places, it was a hassle, and it took a long time. It was not easy, so that's why I am skipping around a little bit here. I have cut out the parts when I roll over to the different buildings, because that was just a little bit too boring to see. But yeah, as you can see, we can actually go to each of the buildings here. We're at the... not the lawn complex. What is that building, Carl? Now anyways, we are at the spaceplane hangar. I realize now that I've kind of forgotten a lot of the names of different things, like the buildings and even the Kerbals, and a lot of the parts as well, since I haven't played this game in a little while. But we got all of that science anyways, and that gave us, well, a bit, but still not enough to get our Science Junior, which is really what I'm trying to get. So I decided I'm gonna put on that pressure thingy, the thing that measures pressure. Is it barometer? I think it's a barometer. I can't remember. But I put those on, and then I went to the different launch sites just to get the science from those, and also squeeze out a little bit more science from the surface samples and from the mystery goo. But I quickly realized, well, sure, that was a little bit of science, and now that is done. Now we have done that at least, so I don't have to go back and do that later on. But we are gonna have to venture out further, I think. And I think here we went to the mountains. Yeah, because of course we do have some mountains west to the KSC. It's not too far away, so I thought, why not? Let's just take a solid rocket booster and all the experiments we have and go over there to try and squeeze out a little bit more science. I think we did go into the mountains when we went to the Wilmingberg launch site, but I can't really remember that right now. Anyways, I do also have a recommendation whenever you're gonna try and land in the mountains. If you have the option to put on a rotation wheel, is that what it's called? Stabilization wheel? The wheel that makes the things move. Reaction wheel, that's what it's called. Sorry. Like I said, I have forgotten a lot of the different things and what they're called. But as you could see there, I was sliding around a lot. So put on a reaction wheel so you can actually stabilize the whole thing. And yeah, once again here, I kind of got a little bit stuck because I still didn't really want any of the Kerbals to go to any other planets. I felt like that was another step in making this just harder for myself. But I decided, no, okay, I'm gonna have them. I'm gonna change up the rules so Kerbals can now go to both the Mun and to Minimus. So we are actually gonna do a flyby of the Mun now to get a bunch of more science. But of course I didn't have any radial decouplers, and I was gonna need a bit more boost than I could get from just that main rocket in the middle there to get to fly by the Moon. So I built this thing, and yeah, it had a lot of drag. This was not optimized at all. I did want to have Jebediah on there since he's a pilot. And I think those 3 mystery goo units was gonna be enough, and they were, luckily enough. So we flew this up with a lot of speed in the beginning, then it kind of died down and we were more coasting and gaining little increments of speed at a time. But this thing actually made it to orbit without any big hiccups. Although, of course, like I said, it is not optimal. It has a lot of drag having those structural parts on the side and having the decouplers twisted and having the boosters put on like that. Although not as bad as you might think, since Kerbal Space Program's physics work a little bit different. And the main thing you should really think about is the different nodes that you have, the green nodes that you can see when you're in the VAB and building stuff. If you can make sure that all of those nodes are covered up by another node that is the same size, then you minimize drag by a lot. And yes, it is a little bit weird because you can put on something that is technically not aerodynamic and the whole thing becomes aerodynamic. It's weird, but that's how it works, and that's what I was trying to do when I put those parts on. I was thinking that in my head that, oh yeah, if I just have the nodes with the same size, then I'm gonna minimize drag. But I think it still had a lot of drag. I didn't check that actually, but I mean, it's gotta have a lot of drag if it looks like that. But anyways, we are now at the moon. We made it here. I did all the experiments from high above the moon and from close to the moon, and flying close to the moon. And yeah, I was trying to do a burn here to get us back to Kerbin. Quickly realized, okay, we're not gonna have enough fuel to do that from the moon. So instead, we are gonna swing around. We're gonna swing around Kerbin once more. So we're going into Kerbin now, going out again to our apoapsis where we can make a more efficient burn. Burn that off, get into the atmosphere, and then just hope that we don't burn up. And that leads me to another thing that I was thinking about when actually making this video, that maybe I should increase the re-entry heating as well. Because I know you can increase that to at least 120%. So I think I'm gonna do that for the next episode. And of course in the next episode we are gonna go into the atmosphere a whole lot more. Or we're gonna be re-entering in the atmosphere, I should say, a whole lot more. So that is gonna be, it's gonna have a bigger impact in the later episodes than it has had in this episode. And once again, just trying to squeeze out all the science that I can there. And finally, we did succeed to unlock the Science Junior for this episode. So I'm just gonna make a little craft here with a couple of Science Juniors, some parachutes, and I also put some legs on there, as you could see, some landing legs. And that is just to kind of cushion the blow when we're landing, to make sure that Science Junior doesn't explode, because of course we don't want it to explode upon impact, because I am doing science when I'm landed, when I'm flying, and then of course when I have landed again. And yeah, now we've landed, we've done all of those experiments 3 times. I'm gonna redo that in a couple of different places just to get all the science that we can from Kerbin. And once again, this is just to kind of try and squeeze out all the science that I can from every nook and cranny that is possible. I did also try something else after this, but the game sadly crashed, which is always fun. So this is actually going to be the last landing that we do for today's episode. But I will continue, and like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.